Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 95 of Cameron's Nostalgia Podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Strickland, and today I have with me Mark,
Uh,
um,
I'll help you. It's Farquhar. So far and then Quar.
Mark Farquhar. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good. Now, for any of you guys who don't know, Mark is an animator for Disney, Warner Brothers, and Pixar, and DreamWorks. So, glad to have you.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. So, let's begin our first question. Are you
All right.
guys
Yeah, go ahead.
okay? How did you get interested in animation?
I grew up, I mean, it's quite a while ago now. Oh, hold on a second. I'm going to rename the window. Hold on a second. Okay. So, yeah, I grew up before the internet, and it wasn't easy to, watch movies or get, like books about animation. But I was became interested in animation when computers started becoming a big thing. When I remember doing flip books when I was a kid. I've always liked to draw, and so 1989, 1990, I started working at a company. I went to Michigan State University, and then when I graduated, I started working at a small production company in Detroit, Michigan. I worked there for a few years. We did, CG, 2D, a bunch of different types of animation. And then in 1993, I went to USC for the animation film program. It was the first class. So when I was at USC, a friend called me and was working at a film studio that's not around anymore called Boss Studios. And he told me that Warner Brothers was starting a new division. So I started working at Warner Brothers, and then moved from company. So I think after that it was Pixar, then I forget the time frame, but DreamWorks, then Disney, and then Sony. And about 10 or 15 years ago, I started teaching. So I worked in feature film for about 20 years and then started teaching. So that's what I'm doing now.
Nice. So, what was your first animation gig?
So working in Detroit, we would do commercials, industrial videos, something called motion graphics. So I think one of the biggest things we did was the Pistons basketball team was had a run of Series runs, and we did the graphics for one of the playoffs. Just a simple logo, but that was a big deal for us. So I started having to do everything like storyboards and 3D stuff, and it was at a really early stage of CG production. So it was a really different kind of. It took a lot more effort to do just simple things. So I started out doing that, and then kind of worked my way into uh, getting to get into working on projects like, you know, we did theme park commercials at Warner Brothers. We did films like um, the Batman and Robin, Batman. I think that was that was that Batman Mars Attacks. So we do visual effects, and we pick up work from productions. Then I moved into Warner Feature when they were finishing was it Quest for Camelot. So I worked on Iron Giant, and then moved to I think, Pixar for Toy Story 2, which you had asked me about, and then went back for Osmosis Jones at Warner Brothers, and then at DreamWorks I worked on little bit of Spirit, Sinbad, and Shark Tale. I went to Disney for Chicken Little, and then down to Sony for a few films like Open Season and Monster House for a little bit, Beowulf for a little bit, and that's when I started teaching at that time.
Nice. So, what was it like working on Batman Forever?
It's a visual effects um, show, so actually I didn't do much on Batman Forever. We did some kind of previous kind of concept stuff. There were a couple shots that we did. Um, I didn't do a lot of work on Batman Forever. Or yeah, I forget which Batman it was, but we were building the city, and like the Batmobile was you know it was like I think it was there was like huge statues in the city, and the Batmobile was like riding on the statues, and so it was a bunch of different types of effect shots. I didn't really work on that stuff. Um, I'm actually looking at my credits to see if I can remember which. Yeah, it was Batman and Robin was the one, and then Mars Attacks. Oh, Batman Forever. I guess we did some stuff too. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, we were doing that because those were Warner Brothers films, so we were doing some work with that.
And what about Marvin the Martian in the third dimension?
So that is a short. It's one of the first 3D CG animation stereo films. So it was made for amusement park in Europe and for the Warner Brothers stores. So they would show it with glasses on. So there was a left and right camera. It was a traditional cartoon, but we made it in 3D. So uh, I worked on a couple shots. That short was a bunch of different places worked on it, but we were at Warner Brothers where they were doing those Looney Tune cartoons. So it was a cool show, and there were some really good people, really fun to work on.
Another project that you work on, Mars Attacks.
hmm
And what was it like working on that?
So we did the shot. I really worked on like one shot on that, and it was the robot. The aliens had these robot bodies, and it's throwing these mobile homes, like smashing them on the ground. So yeah, it was fun. It was I like Tim Burton a lot. It was a fun movie to work on.
And what was it like working on Batman and Robin?
That's one where I just worked on a short amount. I didn't really. I was working. I forget on what project, but I was working on a different project, and they would bring people on to help out on. We'd have multiple projects in the studio, so um, that I didn't really do much on, but I got a credit. I think I don't know, but yeah, it was just a few weeks, a couple weeks maybe.
And what was it like working on The Iron Giant?
That was the first feature animated movie I worked on, and it was yeah, it was a really amazing movie. Even when we were working on it, it felt like it was something special, and we had a really great crew, and working with a director like Brad Bird was really amazing. Um, so yeah, that it's pretty lucky to have been able to work on that.
Nice. So, you worked on Toy Story 2.
Yeah, so again, I was an animator on Toy Story 2. There's a really big crew working on it, so it was a really great learning experience. At that time, Pixar had done, I think they released two or three movies, but they had some really talented people. Um, you know, there weren't a lot of studios doing CG character animation like that, so yeah, just really amazing experience.
And what about Osmosis Jones?
So I went back to Warner Brothers for Osmosis Jones, and again, just yeah, really great experience. The great directors, the people that I was working with, really talented, great people. We had a really good experience with that. I think Osmosis Jones was a really fun film.
And what about Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas?
So Sinbad, yeah, I think that was the first thing that I kind of came and was working on. We had, yeah, again, working feature animation, you get to meet and work with these really talented people. So it you get just really amazing experience and just lucky to be able to work on that stuff. At that time, like Osmosis Jones and Sinbad were movies where they had CG stuff, and then it was primarily 2D backgrounds, 2D characters. So I was working on the CG characters on those movies. And Sinbad, they were like maybe creatures, or they would use a CG character for extremely like long, faraway shots, that type of thing. Like when it would be easier to do it CG, they would do stuff like crowd type things, that kind of thing.
Nice. And what about Shark Tale?
Shark Tale was the movie we did after Sinbad, and that was all CG. Really great voice actors, great directors, really fun project. We Yeah, that you know was the first movie that DreamWorks was doing in Los Angeles that was fully CG. They had acquired PDI. PDI had done like two or three movies completely CG, and that was up in San Francisco. So this was kind of the first movie that we were doing 3D, and just really, again, just really high level. The people that I was working with, it was really, great experience.
And what about Chicken Little?
Chicken Little was DreamWorks. I'm sorry, was Disney. Chicken Little was one of the first fully CG movies that Disney was doing. They had done movies where they would use CG to enhance, like for example, Treasure Planet, they had a CG arm on one of the main characters that they were animating, or they would use CG for creatures, or where it made sense. But Chicken Little was one of the first fully CG um, features, and again, just really talented people, really good experience.
And what about Monster House?
Monster House was a Sony animation, so they were using motion capture, and then sometimes they would kind of go in and do hand CG, where you're setting keys on it, and you can also do a blend of it. They could bring in the motion capture, and then they had a pretty amazing system where you could actually like uh, decide to go any part of the character. You could decide, okay, I want to block this out in animation, and then you could go between the two, or you could you know, clean up the motion capture. Whenever you take motion capture, usually it sets a key on every frame, and it's usually kind of noisy. So um, especially at that time, you'd have to do little bits of cleanup on it. But I was only on Monster House for a little bit, for like a month or something. It wasn't a huge amount of time.
And I have a DVD copy of Open Season.
Mhm. Yeah, so that was a hand animated, the CG. So we were setting keys. It's all you're doing your full performance. So yeah, I thought you know, really was a beautiful movie. It really turned out. It's a cool looking film. Some really all the feature films are it's just really you're lucky to be able to kind of learn and grow and it's a really great experience if you want to do CG animation.
And I have a copy of the DVD, including this one.
All right. Yeah, great. So is it HD or what's the can you bring it down a little bit? Oh, it's widescreen. Got it. Cool. Yeah, it's a fun movie.
And what about Surf's Up?
I only worked on surf stuff a little bit. It was really surf stuff was interesting. They were kind of changing a little bit of how they wanted the movie to feel. So they had really long shots. There were shots that made it feel like it was kind of a documentary, which was popular with like obviously like The Office and Parks and Rec. some of the kind of TV shows were doing that kind of thing. But yeah, it was like a good experience. Didn't work on it a super long time. It was just a bit.
And what about Beowulf?
Beowulf was. Do you know what motion capture is? Because I'm using some of these terms. Maybe have you ever seen videos where they show people in suits with markers on, and then they're recording their performance? So it's they're using that with like Avatar, but it's a lot more sophisticated. With Avatar, it's a whole system that they developed. But with Beowulf, it was a motion capture system. They had some really innovative things. They built a muscle system that was really accurate, which is pretty amazing. They, so it's a photo reel. It's realistic, so it's a lot harder to do that kind of like modeling and the animation. It's not a cartoony type of thing that you're doing, so it fits with like motion capture pretty well. But and I didn't work on Beowulf that long.
And what about Princess?
That was just some freelance. I picked up some shots. I think, if I remember right. Yeah, yeah, that was just picked up some shots on it. Um, I don't remember the last guest, so I don't know. That could be maybe somebody put me on there by mistake. I don't remember that one. I'm looking at my IMDb while you're looking at it too. I'm assuming. So one of the things after that I worked on that was, I think was like a really neat project was um, I connected with a director in Japan that was a Hiroshima atomic bomb survivor, and he has spent, the last maybe 40 years of his life advocating for, not forgetting about the bomb and creating documentaries, and so we did some recreations of part of the city, just to kind of capture what the culture and what the people were like. So that was a really interesting experience. It was called Message from Hiroshima. So we got to work with George Takei, um, and he did the voiceover on the film. So that was kind of fun to meet him.
And what about the short film ASTAR?
That is a student film that we did at Northridge. So it's live action with visual effects. I didn't do that much with that film. Students were working on that, and Noah Amrani is actually an alumni. He was helping them, kind of directing the visual effects to, make a, professional level. So he really was spearheading that. But yeah, they did a really great job with that project. It was cool. So it's a student short film, but it turned out really well.
And what about Message from Hiroshima?
So that's the documentary I was talking about. So we worked with the director, who was a Hiroshima survivor. He actually lived. I don't know if you've seen any documentaries about Hiroshima, but the bomb was dropped in the middle of the city, about 600 feet in the air, and there's one kind of a government building that is still partially intact. They call it I think it's the Hiroshima Dome. He lived right next to that. So his mother and I think brother were just died in the bomb. His dad died shortly after from radiation sickness. So he, it really felt it has been an advocate for just people, remembering Hiroshima, but also for peace. Whenever there's nuclear testing, or there's issues, he's spoken at the United Nations, and has created a bunch of different documentaries about Hiroshima. So this was a collaboration with him, recreating parts of the city. But he's really an amazing person. It's, Masai Tanabe is the director. Really, really amazing person.
And finally, what about the last guest?
I don't know. I think, see, I don't put these on IMDb. So I I wonder. There's times that I'll help out with things, but I don't remember that. So I think that must be a mistake. There's stuff that I've worked on that's not on here, and then there's stuff that gets put on sometimes. So yeah, I haven't gone to look at IMDb for a long time. So yeah, I think that's a mistake. I don't remember.
And do you have a behind the scenes pictures or photos of, I mean, do you have a behind the scenes footage or photos of Toy Story 2?
I mean, there's pictures I took at the time, but not really behind the scenes. Toy Story 2, I think, is the last. It is the last movie that Pixar did at I forget the Reading, and I forget the name of this town, but Richmond. They moved south to this like really amazing complex that they built because they had been so successful. They were initially in kind of an office park, so that was the last movie that was done at that office park, and then they built this really incredible complex south. It's still in. Actually, maybe they moved to Richmond. I forget what the city was that the office park was in, but it's all still in San Francisco.
Oh, Emeryville, California.
That's it. That's it. Emeryville. Thank you. So, what are you interested in animation? You're a fan?
I'm a fan of Toy Story.
All right. Yeah, that's some really amazing movies. It's the first CG feature film, and it's amazing. It still holds up, and it holds up because it's good story, right? Good acting, good story. Even though CG's grown a lot and it looks different, it's still you can still watch it and enjoy it, right?
Right.
Have you talked to anyone else that's an animator?
Yes.
So I have not seen your podcast. I'll have to check it out. Is it on YouTube or where do you post?
I usually post videos on YouTube.
Okay, great. Yeah, okay, great, cool. So, if you are interested in trying to, play with animation or do animation, there's a lot of free tools out there. So, um, you can do it on your computer right now. The computer that you're podcasting from is going to be good enough to handle some of the things that you can use. But like any software where you can do successive images, you can do drawings. Um, and there's also, stop motion apps on your phone, either on an Android or an iPhone. There's a stop motion studio, which is free. So you can play around with that stuff if you're ever interested. And there's a lot of really good kind of how-to videos on YouTube now. Way more access to how to do animation than when I started. Um, and do you know the animation books that animators look at?
Yes.
Okay, so do you have like Illusion of Life, or are you interested? If you're interested in animation, Illusion of Life is one of the big books that you might want to look at. Do you know
Uh-huh.
that one?
Yes.
Okay. And then the Animator Survival Kit is another one that really shows you how to animate. There's also one called the Animator Crash Course. You know Aladdin, right? And the animator that led the work on the genie um, he wrote that book. It's really great for animation insight and cartoony stuff. And then there's the Preston Blair books. Preston Blair was an animator. Have you ever watched those old Warner Brothers cartoons?
Yes.
Have you seen the cartoon with the wolf, that Tex Avery cartoon with the wolf that is at a dance hall, and then there's this Little Red Riding Hood, but she's like dancing. Preston Blair animated that character. So then he wrote some of the first animation books, but all of those are really good resources if you're interested in animation.
I've seen Warner Brothers cartoons.
Yeah, you should. They're amazing. If you search for cartoons, look for Chuck Jones, Tex Avery. Those two are really incredible. And you can learn a lot just from how they animate, how they tell story.
All right.
All right, Cameron. Well, did you have anything else you want to talk about?
Well, Mark, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, Cameron. Yeah, thanks for reaching out.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Just if you want to animate, you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to point you in the right direction. Okay.
All right. Stay
Okay,
tuned.
Cameron. All right. Take care.
Stay tuned for more guests coming up. Until next time. Peace.